Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Let's Chat Reality. I'm Michael,
And I'm Molly.
and today we are talking episode 7 of Survivor 49. We got The Merge and Selling Sunset, season 9. It's been a minute since we've talked some Selling Sunset. New season just dropped with the reunion, so there's a lot to get into with that, and I am excited to talk through it all. What about you, Molly?
Yes, definitely. I actually am in Portland right now, and I watched a whole season of Selling Sunset on the plane. So it was a very productive flight for me, which was great. And then I watched the reunion earlier today, but I'm excited to dive into that as well as Survivor.
Yeah, Selling Sunset's a fun, quick binge. You know, they drop the whole season at once, and they're short episodes, so it's a good watch for a plane ride.
Yeah, for sure. It was nice to have it all downloaded and easy and just a great watch.
All right, well, before we get into that, let's talk Survivor. Like I said, we got to merge with no Murgatory this year, Molly. We did it, Joe. Uh,
It's
Let's
big, big
before
news.
Yeah. So we know that this was because of Jake's unfortunate exit from the game, but I'm hoping, I don't know about you, I'm hoping that the positive response to this from the fans will cause them to maybe reevaluate doing it in the future. You know, season 50 is going to be a very different type of season. I don't know if what's going to be going on with that, but from 51 and beyond, I'm hoping that maybe we won't have another Murgatory. What are your thoughts?
I really hope that they do not do a Murgatory again in the future. Obviously, with this season, it was some unfortunate circumstances that helped this happen. But because of that and the response that we're getting from everyone, including us, that it's very positive. I hope it has an impact in that way that they won't do it in the future, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, I don't have much faith because Jeff said on his On Fire podcast that, it's okay, we didn't do it this season, but that doesn't mean we're not doing it in the future type of thing. So I don't have too much hope, but a boy can dream. So we'll see what happens with that. But they are all living on the Kelly beach. So before the other tribes arrive, Stephen, Jawan, and Sage, the remaining members from current Kelly, form an alliance called Bottoms Up. And they create a story to tell the others about why Shannon was voted out instead of Stephen, who they all assumed would be the one to be voted off, clearly. And they tell them that Shannon was paranoid, she was scrambling, trying to get Juwan out, that basically she just kind of lost her mind in the last day or two that she was there. So, what are your thoughts on this alliance that has now been created between the three of them and this story that they came up with?
I think the story was a good move for them in that time. Obviously, like they just kind of just wanted Shannon out. It wasn't necessarily because she was paranoid and scrambling, but this made it sound like there was really like there were problems from Shannon's side, and they couldn't trust her and all that. Even if like original Uli was like a little bit sus of like, wait, why is she gone and not Steven? But I don't really know about this alliance between the three of them, Stephen, Joanne, and Stage. I feel like they just were talking about that in the beginning of the episode and kind of just like wanted to stay together. But then it's obvious that I think they'll go back to other alliances that they've already had pre existing to this three. So I think overall, like, at least it seemed like the other people took it well and like didn't really question that it was like, oh wow, like what happened here? It was more just like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that this alliance is basically a way for Jawan and Sage to kind of get in with OG Hina, to get in with Steven, and then, use that connection as their way to get in with the rest of them because they don't want to work with OG Uli. And I don't know that necessarily like those three are going to stay super tight and strong as just the three of them, but I do think that the three of them will be involved in the same alliance together with OG Hina for the foreseeable future, since we saw them certainly work together the rest of this episode that we'll get into. So I like this group. I think that the three of them are fun together, but I don't know that this bottoms up alliance is necessarily going to be like the final three at the end of the day. But let's get into then this little search that they had, that a boat pulls up here and brings the tribe a locked chest. So they have to search through the jungle for keys Keys are a big part of this episode. And one of those keys will open a chest and provide an advantage in the next reward/immunity challenge to whoever unlocks it. So this is very similar. I think we did see this last season. There was that famous moment where who was it? Say was running towards, I think, to grab something, and then Eva came up right behind her, if I remember right. I can't remember who it was exactly. Sorry if that was totally wrong. But there was this fun foot race to get the
Was it
advantage last
Mary?
season. I don't think it was
Or
Mary. I can't remember. But anyways,
okay.
whoever it was,
Yeah.
it was a similar thing. I don't know that it was keys. I think it was slightly different, but there was a similar advantage up for grabs for the challenge. So in this case, Sage gets it. What did you think of Sage getting that advantage?
Yeah, I was excited for Sage. I feel like obviously with her making the big move on Shannon, she already kind of felt like, oh gosh, like who can I trust in this game if like original Uli is gonna turn on me or whatnot. So I think this kind of just solidified her safety in some ways of like, okay, like I can do this, like I can get this advantage now and maybe make it another week.
Yeah, I love Sage. I was so happy when Sage got was the one to get this because Sage has been so much fun this season so
Yeah.
far. And it's people. Everyone says Minnie Carolyn. Brandon said a couple weeks ago that he reminded her of Hannah Rose, and whoever she's a combination of, Sage is very very fun, and I think that I really hope she's gotten such a big edit so far. I really, really hope that she will not be out in the next week or so here, but because I'm really curious to see her in a merge situation to see how she does.
Oh, I agree. I think she's already by winning this already, like I think she's already putting herself in a good spot, but I think in general because of how she was able to pull in Steven and like make that move against Shannon last week, I think that's also proving her to be a good player in the game. So I'm excited to see what she continues to do this season.
Yeah. So the next morning, OG Uli plus Blue Sophie, I'm going to continue to call her Blue Sophie, but at the time she still was,
Yeah.
and they all are talking about who they want to vote out. Now Sophie is basically a member of Uli at this point, and they agree that Yellow Sophie would be their first choice of targets, and Joanne and Sage though, they are secretly not on the same page. They are planning to turn against them and vote with OG Hina. And Sage tells Yellow Sophie that Uli wants her out, and but that she shouldn't worry, that she's with her, and that she has nothing to worry about. They have the votes. So, what are your thoughts on, first of all, on Yellow Sophie being their target? This was very interesting to me, just because we haven't seen much of Yellow Sophie. So I don't know why necessarily she would be the first one that they would think of.
Yeah, I agree. I was confused by that too, and I was like, "No, I like Sophie. She's also one of my teammates or team people on my draft." So I
Your
feel
clients.
like my clients. I'm like, "What do I say?" But she's my client. So I really didn't want her to go. Also, Blue Sophie obviously is also one of mine. So I think with that, I was like, "No, cannot be Sophie." But I felt like because they were showing us this so early in the episode, it wasn't going to be true. So I wasn't really that worried about it. But I was still like, wait, what? Why are they even targeting her?
Yeah, I just feel like, to me, MC is the one who screams like should be first target just based on her athleticism and ability to win individual immunities. Like I could 100% MC just going on an immunity streak. Now, I guess they don't know that she has this beware advantage at the time. So, I to me it's like, without knowing that fact, it's just like why not pick MC over Yellow Sophie, but I guess maybe they worry that MC is the obvious choice, so maybe Yellow Sophie is a safer choice as somebody whoever has the idol from their tribe wouldn't use it on her. What I can, I guess, think of.
Yeah, I can see that.
Well, Alex and Blue Sophie reconnect for the first time since the first tribe swap, and they obviously the only remaining members of original Kelly. And Sophie wants Alex to join her side working with OG Uli, but Alex wants to work both sides. You know, he has formed a connection with OG Hina from his original swap, and he is more concerned with just making sure he's on the right side of the votes here. So, what did you think of each of their thought processes on how to kind of play this situation now that they're merged?
I thought it was interesting. Obviously, they became close with different tribe mates or like different people on the tribes that they were on. So obviously, they could have a lot of power in that with having multiple different tribes in their hands, kind of thing. But also, it felt like Sophie just kind of wasn't really going to stay with Alex as much as like she really likes the new Uli, and I think that, or her OG Uli people, but like I think also the new Uli. And they just got close being there together after Calais. So I think that kind of made me think that maybe this conversation really wasn't going to have too much of an impact this episode, but it was interesting to see that them like reconnecting, of course, and I think that they will remain like allies, but maybe not always telling each other the votes that they're gonna do.
Yeah, I mean, I think the best way for them to work this is just to kind of have each tell each other the information that both sides are telling them. Like they can be in such an amazing position here because Sophie is so in with OG Uli that they're telling her everything at this point. It's as if she was with them from the very beginning, from what, our vantage point of what we can tell. And then
Mhm.
for Alex, I mean, it doesn't seem like he's as connected, I guess, with OG Hina, but it certainly seems like they trust him enough to that he's a vote with them, and so I would think that they would be telling him like real information, the real plan. And so if Alex and Sophie can give each other all that information secretly without anybody knowing, then the two of them are in the best positions of the entire game. So
Yeah,
I hope that they realize that and that they take advantage of that and that they're not too suspicious of each other and not trusting each other enough that they aren't able to take advantage of that.
agreed.
Well, then we get to the immunity challenge, and before we get to it, Jeff asks how we should differentiate the two Sophies now that they are on the same tribe together for the first time. And Yellow Sophie immediately recommends that she's Sophie and the other one is Soph. So this to me, why does Blue Sophie have to be Soph? Like why if I'm giving a nickname to somebody, I would say, okay, you can be Sophie and I'll take the other name. I'll take Soph. That to me, if Soph is the less desired one, which I think it does seem like, I would in in a social game, I would want to give that to myself and say, I'll let you be Sophie.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was that people were already kind of referring to her as Soph, and maybe that's why she brought it up like that. But I don't know. It seemed like it was kind of like they had discussed somewhat of it prior, but maybe not. But I like them saying Blue Sophie and Yellow Sophie, so I missed that.
Yeah, it feels like the new the new Purple Kelly, like the modern day Purple Kelly that it became a phenomenon back in Survivor Nicaragua. Now, 15 years later, we can get our new colored or our new blue Sophie, yellow Sophie. Like, that to me, it would have been so much fun. But I have, they changed her Chiron, they changed everything. And I'm like, this is going to stick, I guess. But
I
maybe
know.
one of them will be voted out. Well, I hope it's not Blue Sophie. But once they're down to one, if Yellow Sophie is voted out, I wonder if they will continue to call Blue Sophie Soph, or whether she will then just become Sophie. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, that's a good question. I kind of want to say Sophie I and Sophie E because one only
Now
ends with an
that's
I.
more confusing because
Yeah.
those are not their last names.
I know, or Sophie no I, Sophie, like just
Sophie
emphasize.
no I.
Or sorry, no E. Yeah, I said that
Well,
wrong.
yeah, they should have asked us
Yeah,
before going with
that's
one, but
probably more
they didn't.
confusing though.
So here we are.
Yeah.
Well, the challenge here is multi-part. So it is the first part is a team challenge for the merge feast. The winning team then competes against each other for individual immunity. So this is same that we had in Survivor 47 and 48, I believe. I don't have any issue with this. Only one person's immune. It's like a normal vote. I'm good with this.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a good way to do it.
Although I do, I like that everybody has the merge feast. I like that, they should all be able to celebrate. Like there's certain things, it's a milestone. I wish that they could all celebrate. And I wish that maybe like the reward for this was something where something besides the merge feast. Like let's say in addition to the merge feast, they get to go to the sanctuary where good things happen and do something there. I don't know, like something off the island, maybe like, a helicopter ride, something that's not food related. Maybe they go to like a spa, something in addition to the feast that everybody gets. They get to also take a shower or something like that. I don't know. I think that would probably be my preferred, but I'll take what I can get.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the fact that they don't all get the feast does upset me because I wish that they could take advantage of that food, but only half of them get it, which I mean, it's part of the game at this point.
It is. It is. I just prefer when everybody's kind of on the same playing field a bit.
Mhm.
Like I think that it's more fun when anybody can win something versus like, oh, I figured that this half of the group maybe isn't going to be as strong in challenges because they haven't eaten, and it just kind of makes it so much more imbalanced. But we've talked that to death, so we can move forward. But Sophie, Rizzo, Steven, and Nate win part one of this, and they compete in the individual portion where Sophie, Yellow Sophie, wins individual immunity, which obviously thwarts any plans to send her home this week.
Yes, that was good to see that. I feel like they definitely showed us that beginning conversation to then have her have immunity. So they're like, now we have to scramble, even though it wasn't really like that was going to be the vote, not necessarily. But
Yeah.
I think that obviously that was exciting to see because I do like Sophie, Yellow Sophie, and I was happy for her to win this immunity challenge.
Yeah, I really like her too. I just wish we saw more of her. This week we did see a little bit more, obviously, because she won, because she was targeted. But I hope that, as now numbers dwindle and are all on the same beach, like we're just going to naturally see more of everybody. So but the more that we see of her, I like her so far, and I think that she seems to be a gamer. So I'm excited to see what comes with Yellow Sophie. But now that MC is going to her first tribal council, it's finally time for her to complete her Beware Advantage task in order to either get an idol or lose her vote this week. So she digs under the boat to find a chest and a note. She has to find a key to unlock that chest, which holds the idol. So while she is searching for this key, Savannah finds her. And this was a very fun moment here. So MC is honest. She tells her she's looking for a key. They spot the keys at the same time and they both dive for it. MC gets it. And this was a very fun moment. So, what would you have done if you're in Savannah's shoes or MC's shoes? What's your move here? Let's start with if you were Savannah.
Well, I feel like Savannah just shouldn't. Or if I was Savannah, like I wouldn't have tried to die for these keys. Like I don't even know what it's for. You know, at that point,
Exactly.
I seeing. I guess you see someone else want it, yeah, you want it too. Is kind of what her mindset was. I'm sure in this, that it means something if it's this important. So I was like in that this moment obviously brought great TV for us, but I was like, why is Savannah even trying for this? Like I didn't think it made sense, and also it's gonna then put alarms in MC's mind that like, okay, Savannah's like really trying to play this game if she's going after these keys that she doesn't even know what they're for. So that's gonna put a target on her as well. So that was
Yeah.
interesting to see that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that what Savannah's thought process here was that she thought, okay, if I get these keys, then I don't know what to do with them, but I know that MC's not going to have her vote or an idol. So I think that it's actually like I guess it's a good move if you're really not planning to want to really work with MC. Like,
Yeah.
she knows that by doing this, it's going to blow all trust that MC may potentially have for her. So I think if she thinks that, like, okay, I'm going to get this and then we are going to vote MC out, I know that I have the numbers. She's gone this week and we know that she doesn't have an idol. So, or vote. So, like, we know we truly do have the numbers advantage here. So I think that that's kind of that must be her thought process there. But I agree. Like I think it's tough. Like I think you have to be pretty confident that she's going to be going home this week if you're going to do that.
Yeah, I see that.
So then, if you're in MC's position and you have Savannah staring at you, and here, like, did she make the right move telling her the truth? Like, yeah, I'm looking for a key.
Yeah, I think MC did the right thing here, and just obviously at that time, like you can't really lie too much. Like Savannah's standing right over you and not moving and just watching every move. So I think with that, like MC did the right thing in telling her the truth.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like there's a world where she tells her like the wrong thing she's looking for, like oh, I'm looking for I don't know, I don't even know what else it could be, but and then they just don't find it. Search with her for a little bit, they don't find it, and then when Savannah leaves, she actually looks for the thing she's looked the keys, but I don't know. Then it's very tricky. It's like maybe I won't find it. Like, there's such limited time because you have to find it before this tribal that like every moment counts. And so I guess it's like this is my chance. You can watch me do it, but I'm gonna be searching for this. So yeah, I guess in both instances, I think they kind of did the right thing there. But there's more to this story. So there's dozens of keys on this ring. This is not just okay, 10 keys to try whatever. Like there's like 50, 75 keys, it looks like, that MC has to search through, and Savannah's just staring there at her while she's doing it. Now eventually Savannah does leave before MC actually gets the right key, but while she's there, Savannah does, try to use this as a way to connect with MC. Says, tries to say like, I'm open to working with you. Trying to see what MC is thinking there, and MC, placates her to her face, but says in the confessional that no, Savannah's very intense and clearly a gamer. Like, I want to get her out. So I don't think that these two are necessarily going to be working closely together anytime soon.
I agree. I thought that it was interesting, Savannah trying to kind of make amends or showing that she would be working with MC in the future, wanted to at least project that she would. And MC just saw right through it, as we saw in her confessionals, that she was like, yeah, I don't trust her.
Yeah. Well, Christina and Sophie decide who to target of Nate, Savannah, and Rizzo. So those are the three that basically the OG Hina plus Jawan and Sage are debating between. And there's kind of all three names are being thrown out. Different people want different things. It seems like first their thought is Nate because they know that Rizzo has an idol, and they think that if he's going to play for anyone, it's going to be Savannah because everyone knows how close the two of them are. So they think that Nate is the safest choice to target because he's the least likely to have the idol used on him. So there are, other people have different thoughts. Sage really wants Savannah, but it does seem like before, as we're going into tribal, it seems like Nate is the most likely to me, at least.
Yeah, I agree. It felt like Nate would be the option here. Also, I feel like we're somewhat biased in our information of knowing some spoilers for who makes it to 50 that I was like, it can't be Savannah or Rizzo, unfortunately. Well, I mean, I like them, but like, we kind of had that also knowledge. So I felt like it was going to be Nate, which I like Nate. And so it was, I didn't want anyone to go, honestly. Like, I liked everyone in this merge. But if it had to be someone, I would say it was most likely to be Nate.
Yeah, I agree with you. I would have been a lot more into this moment, I think, without knowing who goes to 50 because it really did. Because, like, look, it's possible that somebody going to Survivor 50 could be voted out at this point, but I just don't feel like we've seen enough from Rizzo and Savannah to warrant why they would have been chosen for 50. It just like neither of them have done anything yet where I'm like, oh yeah, I really am excited to see them play again if they were voted out tonight. So I do think that there must be more to come with them, and obviously there is, but I really figured it was going to be Nate in large part because of that.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, OG Uli also is deciding who they're going to vote for tonight, and they decide on Steven, but to tell others that they're voting for MC in an effort to flush her idol out. Now, I think that this was a very smart choice because obviously they have the information from Savannah that MC got her idol, and I think that telling everybody that they are going to do that was definitely the right move here.
Yeah, that was smart for Steven or for him to say that because I feel like Steven was the obvious vote here for people, but they wanted to then show that they wouldn't, that they wanted to get the idol out.
Yeah. Well, then we get to Tribal, and MC does play her idol, but doesn't get any votes. So it was, I wouldn't say it was useless. I always think it's better to play it, even when, if you think you're at all in danger, I always think it's good to play that idol because it's worse to go home with it in your pocket. So she does unfortunately waste it here, but it is a 7-4 vote between Nate and Steven, and Nate is voted out. So he is our first merge boot here. Although I don't believe he's on the jury. They didn't say jury, right? So
Yeah,
I think
they
that.
did.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, he is on the
Oh, okay.
jury. Yeah, so
Oh,
that's
okay.
exciting.
I missed that.
Oh,
So okay, yay. Well, I'm glad that merge and jury start at the same time this season. I
yes.
think that's good because usually in the past, however many seasons, I guess with Murgatory, the first merge boot is not on jury. So I think I just kind of in my
Yeah.
mind figured that
No,
it
I
was.
wasn't sure until I heard Jeff say jury. I think it was not as noticeable to hear it, but I was like paying attention to want to hear it.
Oh, okay. Well, good. I'm really glad. I'm glad that he is. I think that that's always good for merge and jury to be at the same time. So we will be seeing more of him. Probably not hearing more of him until the finale, but we will be seeing him every week then. So I like Nate. Sad to see him go, but there's other people that I would have been a lot more upset about leaving. So I was okay.
Agreed. And also, Rizzo had an interesting moment at the tribal where he was saying how everyone knew he had an idol, and it made it sound like he knew he was going to play it, or like he was projecting that he was
Yeah.
going to play it. And then he didn't, which was interesting, which obviously also at that point, when he didn't play it, I knew he was going to be safe because he wouldn't like that kind of thing. If he was saying that, I was like, okay, it can't be him. But and then it was interesting that MC still felt unsafe to use it, but I do agree that she did the right thing in using it, just so in case of anything happening, like she knew she was going to be safe.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that Rizzo played that well, though. I think I think saying kind of the maybe I will, maybe I won't. Like you all know that I have it, so I might as well put it on. Or I guess it's not one that he can actually wear, but he was holding it,
It's
and
tiny.
yeah, yeah, it's very small this year.
Yeah.
But I thought that he did that well. I think you want to make people really unsure of whether you're going to play it or not. I think that he did the right thing there, and it worked because he didn't have to play it and he was safe, so it worked out.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, unless there's anything else that you can think of that we missed, I think we are all good on Survivor for the week. So let's get into some Selling Sunset, Molly.
Yes, let's do it. So this season was season 9 of Settling Sunset, which is crazy. We're already on season 9. I feel like it's flying. But so much has happened, I feel like, in their lives. And this season in particular was an interesting one. I felt like we got more personal in some ways and also got to see a lot more of like certain castmates. I feel like we didn't get a ton of like Alana. Like I feel like we never really saw her, but we did get a new new person this season. So Sandra was added to the cast, and I feel like overall we just got a lot of drama with Mary and Chelsea and all that came up from this, and Chrishell and Emma and like all of their drama. And I feel like the rest of the cast kind of was forgotten in some ways. But what were your thoughts overall on the season before we dig into more what happened in the reunion?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a good season. There was a lot of, like you said, a lot of different feuds, which I think I like because I feel like early in Selling Sunset's days, there was kind of just oftentimes seasons where there was like one feud for the season. It was like Christine versus Chrishell. Like that was kind of the only thing that was really happening in the season. And everyone else, for the most part, just kind of got along. And now I think that as we've brought in a lot of new people, like Brie and Emma and all that, like Chelsea, there's been a lot more kind of interesting dynamics within the group and the friendships. And I do think that it was a good season. I do worry, and we'll kind of, I'm sure we'll get into this a little bit, but just kind of like on a more general level, I do worry that they are starting to feel more like coworkers than friends. And this is kind of the situation that we got with Vanderpump Rules and certain Housewives franchises at different times. But I think that the closest comparison that I can think of is the last season or two of Vanderpump Rules, especially post Scandival, where it was like none of these people are like they all have a lot of history with each other and were friends, close friends in the past. But as people start to feel betrayed by each other, as people have feuds and make up, but maybe aren't quite getting to the same level of friendship that they once were because they've been burned in the past. It creates this weird situation where it's like, these are people who I used to call friends, but I really can't trust anymore. And so there's a very kind of surface level friendship now between a lot of them. And I just don't know that that works great in a show because it's hard to really buy the fact that these people are hanging out when they're not filming anymore at this point. And I think it gets very separated. It gets very like weird. And I think that this season worked, but I worry in the future if it will continue to work.
Yeah, I agree with that. It did seem like, I mean, they were also mentioning like the cameras being here, and like it seemed more like we were kind of breaking down that fourth wall in some ways, that like they didn't really want to be in certain situations that they were in, but because it's their job, like they had to be, and that, and obviously, like you don't want to feel like you're just like they're getting forced to do something, or like they're just doing it because they're a TV show, like that kind of thing. Like it wants to be, I want to feel more organic, and like I don't know how sustainable that can be if they really don't like each other. So that would be interesting to see how that evolves.
Yeah, and I like breaking the fourth wall. I think that's a good
Yeah.
thing that they did this season, actually, because I feel like that is so much more real. Like when they're
Yeah.
saying, like when we see them, like Mary leave that dinner and then Jason says, okay, we're stopping filming. And then Chelsea's like, you don't get to decide when we stop filming. Like, I loved that moment because that feels real. That feels like what I am watching is not something that was produced for the show. Like I feel like that is a moment that they did not think was going to make it into the show that did make it in. And that's the best type of moment to watch because you really feel like you're a fly on the wall. So I hope that they continue to do that. But I agree that like those types of moments, the fact that they are even happening makes it feel like, okay, that this is getting to a point where it may not be super sustainable without a relatively large cast change in the future.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. I feel like it's with this kind of show, like that's probably for the best that they could have some more cast updates and make sure that people actually want to be there for the friendships of them and also for the work that they're doing in general. Like obviously, they're also selling houses, which we see, which
Are
you don't
they?
like.
No.
Yeah, you don't like seeing those scenes, but I do. I like their houses are like insane that they go to. That I like just am in awe of these houses. That I do watch it. I'm not like paying close attention, but I am like, oh wow, like that's a nice bathtub, or like like
Yeah.
they're they're nice to see. And also it's kind of fun to have them bring in like a celebrity, like they had JoJo Siwa, and like
Hmm.
that was kind of fun to see her house in the sense of it being like we're selling it, which was
Hmm.
interesting. But
Yeah, no, I like the house. I mean, it's what makes the show unique,
yeah,
and from other similar shows like that. And I think that it also like part of this show is just the gloss and the glamour and the like how just shiny it all feels, and like that's kind of a very different from the more like kind of raw feeling of like a housewives show where it feels like you're kind of getting a peek into their lives, whereas Selling Sunset, it has always been more like this is all shiny and glossy and like more like the Hills type of show because it's
yeah.
obviously the same executive producer as that, so that makes sense. But yeah, it's always been a little bit different in that way. So the house is and that's always part of it, so it's fun.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, they definitely do kind of make it seem all glitzy and glam in that sense. Obviously, their outfits are insane on the
They were
show.
a
It's,
little bit like I will say, I think that they toned it down a slight tad this year from last year. And I appreciated that because I think it got to a point where it was like, okay, we're getting like this is ridiculous. Like you're just showing up in bikinis to work. Like, no, that's a little bit too far.
yeah, agreed. And I also almost forgot about Nicole and all that that happened early on in this season that I felt like,
Go ahead.
wow, like the fact that she could just leave, like I was like, oh, I guess that's okay. Like that was kind of surprising too.
I mean, it wasn't her choice to leave.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, no, that was, I mean, it was, to again make another Bravo comparison. It felt very Kenya Moore on Real Houses of Atlanta, where she took things too far this while filming last season and showed a, nude, allegedly photo of a cast member to an entire party, put on a poster board and was fired from the show because of that mid-season. And this felt a little bit akin to that, where it was, it took things to a level that was too far. And she was suspended from filming for, she filmed one additional scene with Mary after that, and that was it. And, I think that we'll get into the details of it. But yeah, it was very interesting. I mean, there was something that we knew happened during filming, but it was certainly interesting because we didn't know any of the details of what exactly was said or what happened. So that was, I thought, was very interesting part of the show this season.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's get into more what happened in the reunion as we also they debrief all the drama that's necessary for us to talk about as well. So let's start with our newbie, Sandra. She joined this season, Sandra Vergara. So she is related to Sofia Vergara. And I thought that she was fun, like very blunt, honest, and try to get the tea out of people, which it was fun to see that. And the girls like then like seeing like 'cause you see both sides of it kind of from her perspective and all that, so I think that was fun. So I thought that she did well for coming into this cast. Obviously it's not an easy cast to come into, so I think so far like there's more obviously that we could get from her, but for the beginning of what we've gotten I feel like she's done a good job of just trying to get in with the cast. What did you think?
Yeah, I thought she was fun. I thought she did a decent job. We just she didn't get a lot of time to connect
Yeah.
with anyone because she was brought in mid-season after Nicole left, and so
Mhm.
and I always feel bad for kind of anyone that is brought in like halfway through filming and is expected to form connections and get involved in drama, and it's like you don't have that time that's needed to organically form those friendships and those bonds before making your decision of whose side you're on in any drama that may be occurring, or to naturally just kind of like figure out who you vibe with and who you don't. And so it did feel like she was kind of coming in and just trying to immediately be like, to, find something to latch on to. So, but I don't blame her for that. Like I blame the amount of time that she had, and I would be curious to see in the future once she does form closer connections, because she talked at the reunion about how she's now close with Alana, Brie, and Mary, and so we've seen her post. I saw her post with Alana, and she was, at the Breeze premiere party for the show a few days ago. And so, like, it does feel like she is forming those friendships. And so, I do hope that if she is on next season, that we'll get to see a little bit more of her. And I think we'll get a better judge of kind of how she is as a cast member.
Yeah, definitely. Having her just come in halfway definitely did not help to her advantage. But for what she got out of it, I think it will be good to see. Like, at least she has some relationships going into the next season, and hopefully those will help her. But we also did see a little bit of a feud with her and Chrishell during the season, and so we got that kind of closure, I guess you could say, from the reunion, because they it was Chrishell and Sandra looking at a house together, and Sandra was not sure why Chrishell was just not vibing with her, basically, and like, why is she so guarded? But Chrishell says she doesn't like to let new people in, and she's always going to be guarded with that because she's not sure who to trust. But then she also blames Sandra, claiming that she keyed her assistant's car, which Sandra then says that wasn't her. And so that was interesting. Like, who's this random person telling, or not random, but like, was this real, or was this like you just want to be mad at Sandra? I don't know.
I
So
believe
that was
she was told that. It's
yeah.
such a random thing to just like make up. Like I do believe that she was told that. I don't know how trustworthy the source was. Is my
Yeah.
question.
Oh yeah, it felt really
Because
awkward watching that. I was like,
I
wait,
think Chrishell. I can't remember if she said this on. No, I don't think she said this on the reunion. I think she may have said this in an interview or something afterwards. But I think she said like, now I'm not sure whether I believe the source that told me that. Like, so that makes me think like, oh,
okay.
okay, so that was maybe somebody who's either has a vendetta against Sandra for whatever reason, or was just trying to like get involved in selling Sunset Drunk.
Yeah. No, that was interesting. But Sandra then did deny about her saying anything about Chrishell other than that she didn't like her, because Chrishell was saying that Sandra was like, "Oh, you were talking bad about me," but really it was just Sandra being like, "Well, why does Chrishell not like me?" Her just wanting to fit in, basically. So I understand why Sandra was confused with why Chrishell was mad, or not mad, but like just wary to be friends with her. And I think they just won't be friends. I don't think they're really gonna get over that. And especially, spoiler alert, but Chriselle's not coming back. So
Yeah, I was gonna
they
say I don't
won't
think you're ever gonna speak
we're not
again.
gonna get more closure than we got in this reunion. It's just that they're not friends.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, it seems like if Chrishell were to return to the show, I 100% think they could get over this and become friends. Like,
Yeah.
if you remember, Chrishell and Chelsea didn't even really get along that well in Chelsea's first season when she first came on. Like, they had a little bit of a thing because Chelsea was coming in as as Christine's friend, and so
Mhm.
they had a little bit of an issue when Chelsea first joined, and they certainly got over that. And now she's the only one that Chrishell has remained friends with at this point. So, I think they certainly would have had a lot of potential to become friends, but now that she's leaving, they didn't, certainly didn't leave off on terms where I think that they're going to try to make any sort of friendship work. So it is what it is.
Yeah, for sure. Well, now let's get into the Nicole and Chriselle of it all at Girls Giving. So in episode 2, very early on in the season, we got lots of drama there with Emma and Chriselle arguing with Nicole about the rumors that Nicole had spread last season about Emma sleeping with a married man. And then Amanda brought up the drug accusation that Chriselle had made about Nicole back in season 6. And then Nicole responded to that by saying, "You're confusing me with your parents," referencing Chriselle's deceased parents who were addicts. And that just escalated really far. I think in that conversation, like, that wasn't what they were getting at, first of all. And it was kind of like there was just a lot. They first started with talking about Emma and her just sharing rumors about her being a homewrecker, basically. And so all they wanted was Nicole to take accountability for that. Instead, she just combats it and does not, and does the opposite, and just puts herself in the suspension category. So I feel like with that, it did. I think it did take she did take it too far, and that was not right for her to do. So I agree with the show for suspending her on this. But what were your thoughts on seeing this scene?
Oh boy. Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of thoughts. I think that first and foremost, of course, Nicole went to like 50 levels too far with that statement. Like there was no excuse for that. There's no reason why she was pushed to say that. Like no, she said that it was clearly I feel like this is something that she thought of. Like I just don't know that like in that moment that's something you come up with like that like it feels like something that she was like, oh, if I ever get accused of this again, this is how I'm gonna retort back. And that's grosser even to me that like to even think that like this may have been something that she didn't even just like say in the heat of the moment without thinking. And like the fact that she's never apologized for it even today makes me think that yeah, like this isn't something that she just said in the heat of the moment, because if it was, then it would be something that she would know realize now is too far and she shouldn't have said it. I will say the only thing that I can say in Nicole's defense here is that I don't love that drug thing is still like I think that at this point it's something that Chrishell needs to just drop. And she was not the one to bring it up. She was not the one to bring it up. Amanza was the one to bring it up. But I think that when Amanza does bring it up, for Nicole or for Chrishell to then say, "Well, it was true," like I just think like okay, like we're really gonna go back to that. Like it's just like let's just not get don't get involved in that again. Like it's a bad accusation, whether it's true or not. There's just no reason for it. So I think if Nicole had just retorted with something normal, like I think we could have potentially been on Nicole's side with this.
I know.
But it's just yeah, it's all. And then of course Nicole was completely in the wrong last season to do what she did with Emma. We never talked about that on the pod at all, but like that was horrible. And she's saying now that like producers threatened to fire her if she didn't say it. And I just think like at that point it's like, okay, fire me. Like, like I think that you could like potentially even like sue for something like that if you're going to get fired because you're not going to like ruin somebody's life and bring up a false accusation of like being a I don't know. Like that I feel like she was not going to actually get fired if she didn't bring that up. So I think that was dumb too. But like, yeah, I don't know. Lots of random thoughts.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like Nicole came into the season wanting to still be the villain with her haircut and her bleach blonde hair. I was like, she just wants
Yeah,
it.
not a good haircut.
No.
And
Um,
a year later, she still has that haircut.
I know. I was surprised to see that. I was like, wow, didn't she learn? But guess not. But she does come out in the reunion for a couple little quick conversations to get some clarity, I guess, and clear up some things that she wanted to. So we did obviously see how Chrishell or someone else, or maybe I forget exactly who had said that. Maybe it was a man said quoting saying it was her dead parents instead of just saying parents. So Nicole said that she cleared that up to only saying parents, which doesn't really make it seem better. In my perspective, I think it's still, her parents are dead, that like it's the same thing, but she wanted to clear that up
Yeah.
that it made it sound better in her perspective.
I don't get that.
Yeah.
That to me was like the dumbest thing. Like it's like okay, so it would have been different if she had said, "I forgot that your parents were deceased."
Yeah.
Like like I think that if she had said that, well, I don't know that I would even believe it. But like if she had said that and it was believable that she wouldn't have maybe known, then I could say, okay, maybe this isn't quite as like beyond the pale as it is otherwise. Even though it's still not great, but like it would have maybe been a little bit more forgivable. But this is like, okay, you said it or didn't say it, you knew either way. Like it's the same thing.
Yeah, that's true. Well, It's fine. It's now in the past of that conversation, but it didn't really do much for Nicole. And then also when we were in the season at the dinner, Amanda had said that she's done cocaine with Nicole and that Nicole almost overdosed one time. But now Amanda says that she doesn't think Nicole is a addict and that she doesn't think she's ever seen her do cocaine. So that was interesting to see Amanda kind of taking that back of what she said during the season. And she did apologize to Nicole for taking what she heard from multiple people as fact. But maybe it was just heat of the moment that Amanda was like, "Yeah, we've done it together," but she didn't remember herself. So I think that was more just her just wanting to claim a fact that wasn't true, or listening to other people say that and knowing that probably wasn't true.
Can I say what I think this is? I think
Yeah.
that Nicole threatened to sue Amanda.
Oh,
And I
interesting.
think that Nicole asked Amanda this question as like a test to be like, I am, I have threatened to sue you. Now, if you say it, I'm going to follow through with it. And if you don't, and you take it back, then you look like a liar, and I am now cleared. So that's what I think.
That is interesting. I could see that being true,
I
but
don't
we
know.
won't know.
Allegedly,
Where are the
allegedly,
lawyers?
allegedly.
Yeah.
Just my opinion. I have no facts to back that up, of course.
I mean, that would be interesting. I don't know what to believe in
But
this
I think you could
part.
just tell on Amanda's face where she's
Yeah.
like, "You're putting me in a horrible situation here," and I like, you just felt like I don't want to be saying this. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just
Yeah, I mean,
unclear.
I could see that. But also, Nicole has asked multiple times if she thinks she owes Chrishell an apology, but she does not apologize other than to say that she apologizes for the intent that was taken from it. Which, what does that mean? But she
Nothing.
doesn't want to really apologize here, which classic Nicole.
Yeah, that's a sentence that means absolutely. It's a lot of words to say absolutely nothing. Like what? Like I don't know. Here's my problem with Nicole. It's like just say sorry. Like what do you get out of not apologizing for that? Like what does she get? She's not going to like be I don't know. There's nothing to gain. Like it's just, whether you mean it or not. This is probably your last time on this show. And I just feel like it's like just say you're sorry and like maybe you can salvage not a friendship with Chrishell, not a friendship with Emma, probably not going to get back with Amanda, but like there's certain other people in the cast who maybe if you just kind of like tried to play sympathetic in some way and be like, yeah, I went too far. Look, we're not going to ever see eye to eye on this. Like, it was a heat of the moment. I'm sorry. I know that it went too far. Like, I know that we're not going to be friends, but just like I want you to know that I know that I was wrong for this. And like maybe there's something that like that you could salvage with this, or at least in the eye of the audience, maybe you go out on a high note. But with this, it's just like, okay, now you're going out in the lowest note possible.
Yeah, I know. I agree with that. I feel like she's just not trying to even even make herself seem better than she's getting portrayed.
Yeah.
But then moving on, we also get the segment of Chrishell and Emma talking about their falling out after this season of having this whole. Also, I feel like seeing throughout the season or throughout this reunion, we would see when talking to Chrishell, like panning over to Emma, like kind of looking mad or like not
And that
happy
was
for.
probably editing a lot of
Yeah,
that. Like, I'm sure that that was not taken from a moment where she was actually reacting to what Chrishell was saying at that moment. But yeah, you could tell that that's kind of the picture they were trying to paint for sure.
yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. But obviously, this was coming from because of Emma's boyfriend, Blake, and that Chriselle just didn't like him and thought that he was love bombing her and controlling. And they just couldn't see eye to eye on that. And she couldn't be supportive and just couldn't be there as a friend.
Yeah. This was tough because this was a friendship that was like they were best friends for years. And I really didn't see this coming. I mean, like we knew that, like, obviously once Chrishell posted what she posted, which we will talk about later, we knew what was happening, that they were in a feud. But like, until that comment was posted, like when I first saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, like I really had no concept that that was going to be part of what we were going to see this season. Because sometimes you can kind of tell, like, okay, we're heading in a direction of these two falling out, or like, these kind of, there's a build up to it. But with this, it was like, oh wow, this came out of nowhere. But yeah, I mean, I'll get into the details, I'm sure, in a second. But like, I I feel like I am primarily Team Chrishell on this. That I think that, with especially what we heard that Blake has said in this reunion from the show, it felt like, okay, like Chrishell maybe was like taking things a bit too far. But from what we heard in the reunion and what we've heard her say on social media, it made a lot more sense to me.
Agreed. I think so too. Like the show definitely toned it down a lot.
Yeah.
If they did have more information, like they did not show it until the reunion, which maybe they were doing that on purpose. I don't know. But yeah, so that was interesting. So let's get into what we did hear from the reunion. But so the first part was that we did have at the end of the season Emma breaking up with Blake. So they were broken up, but then they had gone back together. So he's still a relevant character in her life. And she still doesn't know if she's going to marry him, but they do have a special bond, as she says. So I think that there's still very much toxicity there. But then Chrishell does say about how Emma was telling her horrible things about Blake every time that they would have a fight, and that so she didn't want her to go back to him and all the situations there that she was dealing with. And Emma also had lied to her about when she was seeing him, and then that I think just really set it off for Chrishell, and like knowing that she was trying to be there as a friend, but Emma was just keeping on going back to him. So Chrishell just had to remove herself from that toxic cycle, or toxic
Yeah.
cycle that Emma was dealing with that she didn't want to be part of.
Right. Well, and it's also a toxic cycle that Chrishell is a
Yeah.
part of, where it's like, Emma will come to her when they're fighting and tell her all these horrible things, and then they'll get back together, and Emma will expect Chrishell to be supportive and like him. And that's a very common situation, I think, that a lot of friends find themselves in with other friends. And, I think, a lot of people, I'm sure, have been in themselves. And I think it's a very relatable situation that is really unfortunate. And it's hard to, know what to do, what the right thing to do is. But yeah, I mean, I think that I don't love when Chrishell kind of like brings up the fact that like Emma called her from the bathroom and things like that. Like, it does feel a little bit too personal to bring up on a reunion like this. Like, there's a way to make that point without revealing personal things that your best friend told you at the time in confidence off camera. Like, I just think there's a
Yeah.
way to do it. I see that Chrishell is frustrated and wants to provide the proof that she needs in order to show that she was a good friend. But I do think that there's a way to do it that without revealing all that.
I agree. I think that Chrishell did share too much information in general just to show, like, I think her point more probably, and showing that, like, okay, like you guys need to understand how bad he is. And I think we would have
Right.
gotten that from the other conversations that we got, and hearing what he said to her and not knowing what like Emma was doing with her personally. Like I think she could go more at just talking about what Blake was saying and doing versus how Emma was reacting to it. So I think that Chrishell did take it a little too far there as well. But
Yeah.
it's the reunion. I guess she was sharing her feelings.
Yeah, and I would say, like, I fully support and understand her removing herself from that situation with Emma. Like,
Yeah.
I am fully on Chrishell's side in terms of the fact that, like, I think some of the girls are like, you need to be there for her, like, no matter what, and support her and when she's going through something hard. But I can understand, like, Chrishell has been doing that for a long time, and at some point it's like, okay, you're not going to take my advice clearly. This is draining. Like my mental health is suffering because I am constantly having to deal with your, constant back and forth with Blake. And if the things that you're telling me and that I'm seeing and hearing from Blake are awful, and I can't support this relationship, and I want to be able to support you, but you have to like to take my advice. Like, it's like I just can't keep going through this cycle with you for forever. And for my own mental health sake, I need to take a step back and let you figure this out. And I completely understand her doing that. I just don't love when she kind of then takes what she's told her and then brings it to TV and the group and everybody else that, is not necessarily, doesn't need to hear all that.
Agreed. I just think it's a very personal situation, so it's should stay more personal than it's been portrayed for us.
Yeah.
But we also see how Chelsea does agree with Chrishell's feelings about Blake and says that Emma has been brainwashed by him. So Chelsea was kind of being quiet to the side there, but we get some support there in terms of her supporting Chrishell.
Yeah, and I think that that says a lot. Like that to me, like I was kind of curious, okay, like Chelsea's obviously very close with both of them. I wonder which side, so she's sitting next to Chrishell, which makes you usually in reunion seating, are sat next to the people that you're closest with. So the fact that, they sat Chelsea there made me first think that, like, okay, maybe she's a little bit more team Chrishell. But then when she actually said, like, I can't support Blake, I'm never going to support Blake, like, that was, oh, like, Chrishell's not lying here. Like, Chelsea has seen and heard these things as well, and that said a lot to me that both of Emma's best friends on the show and supposedly in real life, I think that they are two of her closest friends, that they both feel the same way about Blake, to me says a lot.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's interesting that Emma still wants to be with him at this point. It seems like I don't know. She was
Well,
saying she doesn't want to defend him, but
I mean, it's hard. I really do feel for Emma in the fact that, like, this, she's clearly in a toxic relationship that she just can't find her way out of. And I think that's really, really like devastating to watch because it's like, that in 2 years, she's going to be out of this relationship, God willing, hopefully, and she'll be able to see things more clearly. And I do think that we're going to, I don't know. It'll be time will tell if Chrishell will be willing to come back around and that they'll be able to mend things, whether they are on the show together or not. But I do think that once she is out of this, inevitably, hopefully, I do wonder if she will then come back and say, like, yeah, I really feel bad for, like I want to fix things with Chrishell now. And I hope that they'll be able to do that.
yeah, I agree. I think that they could, as long as Emma and Blake don't stay together. We also saw about Chrishell responding to someone's Instagram comment about asking about her friendship with Emma, about how they were on the outs because of her MAGA boyfriend who told her that pronouns were stupid. And then Emma denied those accusations and that it's hurtful that Chrishell is bringing that up because of this and all that coming out on social media, and that they weren't like this. The fact that Chrishell and her were on the outs doesn't mean that she should go and blast this out on Instagram comments for the world to see. And the group also did say that they thought that Chrishell was wrong for this. But Chrishell was defending herself because she wants to say, obviously, in her good graces here. But I think that also in general, like they are on a reality TV show, and the public does know a lot about their lives and their friendships. But I think this one did take it too far because it was more personal and maybe like something you would want to not blast out to the world. And now then portraying, obviously, we saw like all the headlines and things that were coming up in news articles with all the accusations then going at Emma, and Emma then not knowing how to respond and feel like oh, well, now Chrishell has betrayed me by saying this and all of that, obviously did not feel good for Emma. So this was an interesting little tidbit here that I had just learned about because of seeing it on the episode. I didn't realize all the drama because I don't follow Chrishell and I'm on Instagram. But it was interesting to see that all happen and how Chrishell was still trying to defend herself for this comment.
Yeah, I think this is where Chrishell loses me just a little bit. Is that I think that she was at that time, she said that she thought her friendship with Emma was over by that point, and she was already kind of moving on from that. And that she felt like, the public is, I'm sure, asking her all these questions because, usually they comment on all each other's pictures, they post together, they, all this stuff. And for weeks at that point, they hadn't been posting each other or acknowledging each other on social media at all. And so people, I'm sure, were asking her like, what's going on, and I think that she, was like, well, we are on a show about a group of friends, and I right now am on the outs with a close friend, and the audience is, not privy to that. And so she felt like, okay, well, the public deserves to know what's going on in our friendships, and I'm going to be honest about it. I think the problem with that is a few fold. I think that, first of all, it's just like, that's whether you're in, on good terms with Emma right now or not, that is or was your best friend. To air things out on social media like that, when you know that saying these things is going to lead to Emma getting a lot of hate, I think that's wrong. I think that that is not deserved, especially knowing that Emma is in a toxic relationship. And, just, I think that that was wrong to do for somebody that you consider or considered a very close friend. Secondly, Chrishell, at this point, they were filming or had already wrapped filming, I guess, at this point, and this is going to be airing on the next season of your show. So, like, we're going to find out about it, whether you say it right then or not. Like, I think what she could have just said is like, like, we're I love her from afar, I think, is the last comment she made. Just leave it at that. Like, just like allude to the fact that you're on the outs. It'll get us all interested in what's gonna, like, what happened, what's gonna, like, yeah, you're gonna be getting a lot more questions. But I think that that's a good way, like, if you're trying to, like, promote the show, or like you're on a show, like, just maybe say something little like that if you want to. But I think the problem is, like, this is a very common tactic for reality stars on these types of shows, to try to sway the public's opinion before the season airs by saying certain things, and they can't really respond because they're under contract to not spoil the season. So you say just, and just as much as you can say without, and I think she probably went too far with this, but, like, it's Chrishell, like, she can probably, say and do more than maybe some other people can on the show. But it's hard. Like, you say enough that you get the audience on your side before the season airs, and then you come in kind of with this army of fans, and, before they actually see what's happening. So, but I think the problem with this is it's just too serious. It's just too serious of an issue, and it's too close of a friend to do that with. And I just think that in this case, this is where I think Chrishell went wrong.
Yeah, for sure. And it was just too far for that. And social media is just dangerous. You got to be careful with what you say there. But I feel like, yeah, as we were saying about Emma and Chrishell, their friendship, it's interesting that it's come to this. And I think that there's room for it to become like friendship again if Emma's able to get out of her toxic cycles, but we'll have to see what's going to
Yeah.
happen with
Yeah, and
that.
I think
But
the hard thing is
yeah,
that, like, for Chrishell, she feels like she knows that Emma's boyfriend has said these things that are homophobic and racist, and Chrishell, I love Chrishell because she is somebody who will, always defend these marginalized communities, whether she's a part of them or not. And I love that about Chrishell, that she's willing to, go against the grain, stand in her truth, and and really go to bat for what she believes in, and that's why we love her. But I think it makes it hard when she feels like Emma's boyfriend, she knows, has said these things and she's still willing to be with him and defend him. And, she'll say, I'm not defending him, but then she kind of defends him. And I think that's hard because then it's like, okay, even when you're out of this relationship, I know that you were willing to look past these things that your boyfriend had said and didn't break up with him because of that. And so I think that's what's going to maybe be hard for Chrishell and moving forward with Emma. But we'll see. I hope that they can because I really loved their friendship with and with the two of them and Chelsea together. Like they were such a fun trio, and I hope that at some point they can get back to that. But I do think it'll be hard.
Yeah, I agree. I liked seeing them, the trio together, but doesn't seem likely for now, at least that's going to happen anytime soon. But we also got some drama with Brie and Chrishell because Chrishell says that she saw a text message from someone who worked for Brie where Brie was bashing her and G Flip. And then Brie denies this. So I don't know who sent this text message to Chrishell, but some other source that maybe isn't trustworthy or Brie is lying. I don't know.
I mean, I believe that this probably happened.
Yeah.
I think that this was crazy because this was just like a very short, but like very intense screaming match between the two of them. I was like, whoa, this came out of nowhere. But yeah, I mean, I believe Chrishell that I'm sure Brie did send these text messages. I don't know what they said exactly, but apparently Chrishell has said that like a lot of her frustration with Brie is that there's certain things that Brie has like said, and I guess in her contract that like they can't bring up the lawsuits against Brie. They can't bring up like I think her employers, some of her employees were suing Brie for like a toxic work environment or something like that, and how Brie treated them, and so they couldn't apparently they can't bring this up on the show or it'll get cut if this ever comes up. And I think that that was something that was frustrating because apparently this maybe had to do with that somewhat, and so she couldn't actually like show the text messages because she knew it was going to get cut if she showed them. And so I think that was
Interesting.
allegedly the issue. And so I don't know, the details of it all, but yeah, apparently that's part of it is that like Brie has a lot of stipulations as to what they can and can't talk about in her life. And so that's why maybe this was kind of confusing.
Yeah, it did seem like we were missing some context here. But that's interesting. I didn't realize the whole lawsuit of it all.
Yeah.
Um,
Allegedly,
but
allegedly, allegedly.
allegedly all of this. So yeah, that's interesting. But it's I like Brie. I feel like we didn't get much of her on this reunion. But she does
She's a
bring.
good cast member
Mhm,
for a show like this.
I
Like
agree.
she's feisty and yeah, she's brutally honest. And yeah, I mean, I like Brie for the most part. There's certain things that yeah have come out that like Brie has questionable I don't know opinions on things, posts that she's posted that make me not as big of a fan of her personally, but I think she's a very good cast member on a show like this. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Well, we also got to see on this season that they had filmed while the fires happened. So, in the California fires last January, took out a lot of homes, and then that spurred up also a lot of robberies. Mary being one of those. So, she was targeted just 2 days after. Oh, sorry, she was targeted by the robbers here, unfortunately. And 2 days later, while Mary was filming at her house with Bree, she got a delivery of flowers from Chelsea. And obviously, Chelsea and Mary are not close. Mary felt that this was very performative and disingenuous to have them delivered while filming because she thought that Chelsea was just doing that to get some more FaceTime and just showing that she cared for Mary. But then also they were getting mad at the cameras. Mary was like, "No, don't film right now," because like she just wanted this to happen which Chelsea then stands up for herself at the reunion, saying that she didn't know that the flowers were going to be delivered while Mary was filming, and that Mary and Bree just still wanted to say that they thought it was just too perfect of timing there, so they don't really believe Chelsea, and that it was only because of the filming that they sent, or they want to believe that it was only because of filming that she sent it, but Chelsea saying the opposite there. So, what did you think about this?
I think that Chelsea was genuine in the fact that I think she obviously does feel very bad for what Mary was going through. And I think that the note was very nice and the flowers were very nice. And if I were Mary, like, I think that I would probably be a little bit suspicious that this it was too convenient that it was being filmed right when the flowers were delivered. That is very convenient. So I would probably be suspicious, but I don't think that I would be as angry as Mary
Yeah,
was. Like I think the reaction was a severe overreaction. Now, obviously, she was going through a lot in that moment. And I think that in my understanding, what was really frustrating for Mary was that she said, okay, this is only 2 days after the robbery. Like, this is a very vulnerable situation that she's letting everybody see her house just destroyed from the robbery. And I think she told the cameras, like, you can film. I just don't want to like this to become about any sort of drama at the office or anything. Like I just want this to be a very like real moment, and I don't want this to become about any sort of like fluff or drama or any surprises or anything like that. And then this happens and it's like, okay, this is exactly what I didn't want to happen because I just can't handle this right now. Like this isn't important to me right now. Look at what I'm going through, like this is stupid. So I think like that was probably the primary frustration for Mary, but I don't think that Chelsea had any bad intentions. If anything, I think maybe the producers like contacted like they knew the flowers were coming, and so they maybe contacted the flower delivery to be like, "Hey, we're filming at this time. Like, can you change the scheduling so that it comes while we're there at the house?" Like maybe they did that. Maybe Chelsea had no idea that that was at all happening, and I think that you could tell from Chelsea's reaction. Like, I do think that she was being genuine. I don't think that she had any, she was doing it for the cameras or anything like that. I think that it was genuine. I do think that something must have transpired to make it come when it did, but I don't think it's, the worst thing that anyone's ever done.
I agree. I think Chelsea did mean it to be genuine, and that it was just taken a bit too far from Mary's perspective. And obviously, she was in a very vulnerable spot and having her family jewelry taken away from her. And that's obviously very sentimental pieces that she can't get back. And they still haven't found those robbers. So obviously, it's a very sad situation that she had to deal with. So I think and that like she just didn't want to deal with the drama like you're saying, and they're just the flowers coming there just really set her off. And I think in that way, like she just wanted it to be personal. Like she said, everyone else had texted her and not try to make it like some public thing, which flowers usually wouldn't be public unless you posted it yourself. Like it just so happened that they were filming in that moment, is what Chelsea's meaning to say for it. And obviously, Mary and Brie feel differently with that, but it is what it is at this point. I don't think they're going to ever see eye to eye on the flower gate.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I think that there must be something that we're missing because Mary getting so upset at the finale by just seeing Chelsea's name on the card. Like, I know they talked a bit about that at the reunion. They didn't really get too much into it, but yeah, there was just like, there's something we're missing here because for Mary to just start crying for seeing Chelsea's name, like, I know she was going through a lot, but like, that's not a normal reaction. So I don't know what's going on, and I wonder if we ever will know. But yeah, I think there must be something that we're missing in all this.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what it is that she just can't stand Chelsea for, but I don't know if we'll ever find out.
I don't know.
Yeah, but I think that wraps us up for talking about the reunion this season. But moving forward, as we kind of teased at this, Chrishell has announced that she's leaving the show after 9 seasons. So this is crazy news. I feel like I kind of saw it coming in the way that this season was going, that Chrishell just didn't seem happy with what was going on in general. She just wants more peace. So she is no longer going to be on Selling Sunset. So, what are your thoughts on this, and what do you think the future of the show will look like without her?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a long time coming. Chrishell at before last season dropped when the cast got to watch the season a day or two before we did. She posted on her Instagram speaking out against the production company and Adam DeVillo because of the whole Emma and Nicole situation and those allegations that, they were not privy to, that Nicole was saying behind Emma's back. And she has always been one to speak out against the production, which is unusual for a current cast member on a show like this. And so I think a lot of us thought that she was going to leave then and that there was going to be no season 9 of Selling Sunset because there was going to be a whole cast mutiny. They didn't have a reunion last year because of that. And so I think she's seemingly been pretty unhappy on the show for quite a while. So I'm not surprised to see this, especially now that she's lost one of her closest friendships in Emma. And really, all she has is Chelsea now as a genuine friend on this show. And I think that's not necessarily an environment that you want to be in. I mean, this reunion, it seemed like the majority of the cast was kind of turning on her quite a bit and defending Emma. And so I think that this felt like the right time. It just felt like there were fewer and fewer just genuine friends that she had in the group. And so I'll be very curious. I think it's going to look very different because she has been like the main cast member since day one, season one. And I wonder, what that looks like now without her. Who takes that place is kind of the main focus of the show, the center of the show. And I don't know. I'm curious, but it certainly doesn't seem like the show is getting canceled. She's just leaving it. So I'll be very curious to see what happens from here.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like Chrishell definitely brings a lot of the drama that we see throughout this season. So it's going to be interesting to see who is the next focus. But I will miss Chrishell, but it does seem like it is time for her to go at this point. She's not happy with production, and overall, I think she's done her time here. So it'll be interesting to see how the cast does without her there, and like what's going to happen with that. But I think that Chrishell has a lot going for her, so she doesn't need selling a sunset anymore, and it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, it feels. I mean, I'll make another Vanderpump Rules comparison. It feels like Ariana leaving Vanderpump Rules, after season 11. It's like the show didn't continue without her in that regard, but I think she would have left regardless.
Yeah.
And I wonder what that would have looked like if Ariana had left at that point. And I feel like it's kind of a similar situation where it's like somebody who's just kind of grown out of the show. And I think that, yeah, I mean, I'm really gonna miss her. I don't know. It's this show has been from like her perspective this whole time. Like it was like episode one, like she's the new girl in the office. We're seeing all of her relationships with all of these women, and it's kind of been from her perspective in a lot of ways ever since then. And so, yeah, it's gonna look very, very different. But I'm curious to see what will happen.
Yes, for sure. We also got the preview of Selling the OC, which is also coming up very soon. So that was exciting, and that has also seems like a lot of drama coming up in that season. They got 3 newbies, which is a lot, I feel like.
Well, 3 newbies and like seemingly like 25 girls that left. I mean, it's like we went from about 10 Alexandras to one. So yeah, it's that's another example of a show that like got a big recast because, well, in my opinion, there were basically zero likable people on that OG cast, in my opinion. So I don't miss anyone that left. I know that's maybe a
Yeah.
hot take, but I'm not exactly like happy to see the ones that stayed either. Like I just honestly like there's nobody on that cast that I really like. So I'm gonna watch the season, and I hope that there's somebody likable in the newbies, because I haven't found anyone that I find to be very likable in that cast at all.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair.
But a lot of
But
drama. It seems like a
yeah,
good season, so we'll see.
there will be, it seems like, a lot of drama, so that will be fun.
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to
But
cover it because we have a lot coming up, but I will be watching.
yes, yes, we do have a lot coming up. So make sure you are subscribed wherever you get your podcasts, as well as following us on social media at Let's Chat Reality. And we'll be back chatting more reality TV with y'all shortly. Thanks so much for listening.
Bye, everyone.